The Filipino Year is marked by ritual and tradition. In the season of Dayaw, we will relish the preparations and celebrations that have defined our many cultures. What do we as Christians, as animists, as Islamic Filipinos value most? And how do we mark our years to show our collective aspirations? Tayo'y magdiwang at magpasalamat as we mark the milestones of the Filipino Year. This is Dayaw, our knowledge, our pride. After the frenzy of January and the celebrations honoring the Cristo Nazareno and the Santo Niño, Filipino Christendom prepares for the mystery and redemption of Lent. With so many traditions to experience, we focus on the most iconic of these traditions. We focus on the performative aspects of these rituals, the chanting and singing, the drama and the theatrics, but we also find out how these traditions are a backdrop for the folk art and the sensibilities of the devotees. In Quaresma, the season of pain and redemption, we find a fitting tableau that reflects not only our faith, but our vibrant folk artistry. The chanting of the pabasa is one of the simplest forms of folk devotion that mark the Catholic Filipino celebration of Semana Santa. The tradition can be traced to the 16th century, when early forms of the pabasa were introduced by Spanish friars as a means of propagating the faith. The chanting is done by groups as early as Holy Monday and usually ending on Good Friday. On simple makeshift altars or before an assembly of elaborately vested heirloom santos, the pabasa is a community activity where neighbors gather and take turns to chant the Passion of Christ.
Ay magkano kaya baga sa aking magiging upa.
The most common text used is Gaspar Aquino de Belen's Pasyong Mahal, a poetic narrative tracing the birth, life, and passion of Christ. The lengthy text dates to 1704. Though it is widely regarded as a standard reading for the pabasa activity, the rhythm and style of chanting varies from town to town, from province to province. While the pabasa retells the Passion of Christ through community chanting, other means of remembering Christ's sacrifice involve bloodier, more brutal means. What drives a man to walk barefoot under the summer sun, scourging himself in a literal imitation of Christ? Though unsanctioned by the Church, the practice of the penitencia is still very much alive among the menfolk of lowland Luzon. Theater has always played a significant part in the Catholic Church, but it is in the folk expression of theater that we see how the stories from Catholicism have been filtered through folk sensibilities and reinterpreted year after year with dynamism and creative energy. In the Moriones of Marinduque, the story of Longinos is told and retold costumes and masks, and dramatic action, all becoming, with every passing Lent, more and more colorful.
Tradisyon ng Moryon ayon sa kasaysayan na nababasa ko at pag-isisalamuha ko sa mga matatanda noong una ay ito ay nagsimula sa bayan ng Mungpog na isa lamang. Isang tao, si Tandang Binto. No? At itong si Tandang Bintong na ito ay sakristan mayor. Sumunod na taon, dinagdagan ng pari, nagkuha siya ng 6 na katao na magiging kasama nitong ating sakristan mayor na siyang kinikilalang unang Moryon upang nang sa ganon ay makapag-stage noong crucifixion.
The apocryphal story of Longhino is a basis of the Moriones in Mogpog, Marinduque. Blind in one eye, he pierced the side of Christ, and the blood that spurted restored his vision.
Mula ng ating maulos ang tagiliran ni Jesus, dugot tubig ang sumipot sa kabulagan kong puspos.
Converted, he was prosecuted by his fellow centurions and then beheaded. In Mogpog, the story is told and retold in the town streets every Holy Week. The use of masks, costumes, and theatrical techniques by both men and women retell the narrative of Longhino in a way that is both folksy and fanciful. For many, their participation in the yearly ritual is a panata, a pledge and prayer that grows yearly, as both tourism and commerce color their devotion.
Bilang panata sa sarili, meron tayong kanya-kanyang penitensya na dinadala sa ating buhay. So yung pag-ikot sa bayan, sa katanghaliang tapat sa ilalim ng init ng araw, hindi madaling gawin. Sa sarili ko, desisyon ang akuin ng pagiging isang Kristo. Yung bigat ng krus at saka yung palo na tatanggapin mo sa pag-ikot mo sa buong bayan. Hindi madali, pero kinakaya.
Through the many voices we've gathered, we see a tradition that is ever-changing. Symbols that are being embellished, sensibilities that are tested. Listen to the many voices of the Moriones as they weave into the story of Longhino, their own stories.
Nagsimula akong nag-Moryon ay 1976. Dahil muntik na ako nakawin ng magnanakaw ng bata. Kaya yung nanay ko, isang Moryon din. Pinintensya niya ako, pinag-Moryon niya ako ng ganong edad. Ay, hanggang siya namatay na, kasi sa kalukuyan, tinuloy-tuloy ko hanggang ngayon. Yung pagmumoryon. Nasanay na ako, pagka nabigay ako ng lakas ng katawan sa trabaho. Kaya, sa Holy Week, na-absent na ako niyan, uwi na ako, magmoryon ako.
Ako po yung mga 5 years old po na mag-start po magmoryon.
Bakit mo naman nagustuhan maging moryon?
Kasi po gusto ko po ma-experience ang pamamanata ng pagiging moryon.
Alam mo na ba yun? Yung 5 years old ka, alam mo na yung pamamanata? Anong pagkakaintindi mo sa pamamanata?
Yung vinavow po ang pagiging moryon. Yung parang nagsasacrifice po para po sa pagmamoryon.
The iconic masks have undergone many transformations. The carving, finishing, and embellishment of these masks tell the story of an evolving tradition. Faithful to the look of the Moriones, but also reflecting current sensibilities and fads.
Ang kahoy na ginagamit ko ay santol at saka dakdak. Tapos yung pilikmata niya na yung mga buhok ng tao yan. Pag nag-umpisa ka, kailangang patuyo mo siya. Pag natuyo na siya, isasander mo siya. Tapos yun, pag sander ulit, masilya na naman. Pag nalihan na siya ulit, sander na, ready to paint na siya. Kailangan tuyo yung kahoy para hindi bumitaw yung pintura. Ganun. Pag napintura na siya, mga 1 day, pwede na siya yung kabitan ng kompletong accessories.
The man who plays Longhino must face up to a yearly challenge. He takes on a role that is reflective of his own panata. But he must also represent a tradition to an outside world that now sees an exercise of folk faith as a spectacle, a tourist attraction. The streets of the town blend with the Calvary of our imagination. Modern features like the back of a dump truck place the Centurion squarely in our time, in our realities. The image of an executed man unceremoniously dumped onto a truck resonates with realities all over the world and brings the Moriones of Marinduque into the painful present. Among many Catholic communities and families, the ownership and care of a santo is a badge of faith as well as social prestige. But for many young Filipinos who have taken an interest in santos, the care of an image is a modern-day panata, a form of prayer that is just as much an act of faith in the Filipino sculptor and vestment maker as it is a pledge to the divine. Arnold Reyes may be more popularly known as an actor, but his other consuming passions is that of the continuance of a tradition. His atelier specializes in the design and handcrafting of the heavily embroidered vestments of saints. It is a passion that is built on 2 elements. The first is a faithful propagation of the faith symbols, vestments, and their meanings. The second is an adherence to the standards of handcrafting.
Ang title kasi niya ay Santo Niño de la Pasión. Dahil de la Pasión siya, nag-incorporate si Rafael ng mga elements nung panahon ng paghihirap ni Cristo. So, nandiyan yung krus, kung makikita nyo. Nandiyan yung pillar kung saan siya pinahirapan. Nandiyan yung mga gamit nung pagpako sa kanya sa krus. Lahat ng mga elemento nilalagay namin. Kahit sa mga Lenten images, kailangan alamin mo kung sino siya. Anong storya niya? Anong naging bahagi niya sa paghihirap ni Hesukristo. So, pag gumawa kami ng damit ng ng isang imahen, isang santa or santo, ibinabagay namin ito sa kung sino siya at kung saan siya nagmula. Sinisiguro namin na tama ang silhouette, tama ang cut, tama ang kulay para sa kanila. May kanya-kanyang kulay, may kanya-kanyang estilo ng pananamit, depende kung sino ang santo. At para sa akin, lahat ng mga ibinibihis namin sa mga santo, kailangan merong kaakibat na research. Doon pumapasok si Rafael del Casal. Lahat ng mga research sa kanya, lahat ng tamang estilo dapat sa kanya manggaling. So, kami na ang tatabas ng lahat ng iyon. Bukod sa traditional na way na kinokopya namin, kasi yun ang mga inspirasyon namin. Very traditional embroidery na minana natin sa mga nauna sa atin. Ngayon naman, ang ginawa namin medyo three-dimensional na yung embroidery. Kumbaga, kung nung unang panahon mataas na siya, ngayon, mas tumaas pa siya, mas umalsa pa siya. Sa ngayon, yun yung nagiging estilo at brand ng Bordados de Manila. Nagiging three-dimensional yung mga borda namin.
The maintenance of a santo may seem an antiquated pursuit to some, but for many young Filipinos, there is an artistic and spiritual fulfillment that comes with the pursuit.
As early as siguro mga super bata pa, yung lola ko sa Hagunoy, Bulacan, importante na for a family, especially back in those days na pag kami mga special events, like for example, like Christmas, New Year, and of course, Holy Week, it's imperative, you know, that as a family, that we go there. Tapos, isa sa pinaka very, very rich tradition and devotion ay yung procession ng Holy Week, which is the Semana Santa procession. I can vividly remember na yung lola ko would call everybody from the titos, titas, and all of my cousins. We would, you know, gather around the terrace. Tapos every time na dumadaan yung mga santos, like for example, you have the Mater Dolorosa or the Weeping Virgin, you have the Santo Entierro, which is the dead body of Christ, or the beloved apostle, which is Saint John. Pag dumadaan yun, nag-explain yung lola ko kung ano yung relevance niya dun sa Semana Santa or dun sa Passion and Death of Jesus Christ. From then on, everybody would be seeing all of these santos, you know, lifelike, life-size, around, you know, ranging from 4.5 feet to 5 feet, sometimes 6 feet pa siya. So, ayun, dun nagsimula yung love ko for the art. And of course, yung love ko for the devotion. When I got to work, you know, and I have sufficient amount of money to have all of these santos, you know, commissioned. So yun, dun na siya nagsimula. So I started investing dun sa mga santos, dun sa karosas, and of course the other accoutrements that go with it. In terms of the preparation of the santos, importante that, you know, that you take good care of them, because, you know, most of them, especially for the Lenten tradition, it's made of wood. Sometimes it's made of batikuling, sometimes it's made of santol, because they're the softer ones, which are, you know, easy to be carved. You know, if you see naman all of these santos, and the santos that are very, very dominant around the country, they have a different set of expression, di ba? Napaka-intricate dapat the expression depending on what it should represent, di ba? For example, the Dolorosa, kailangan weeping siya, so merong ibang klaseng expression siya. I mean, for example, like the Señor de la Pacencia, I mean, you see the Jesus Christ, you know, right after being flagellated, so kailangan you see the pain, pero syempre dapat maamo pa rin yung muka. So in terms of preparation, you have to make sure they're in good condition.
This is Saint Cecilia, patron siya ng mga musician. So, I'm a musician. Tas martyr din siya, and meron siyang palm na virgin and martyr. So, virgin, meron siyang, yung color ng dress niya is white and blue. Kasi she dedicated her life kay Christ. Then, patron siya ng musician, kaya meron siyang harp. And naging martyr siya, kaya meron siya ng palm. And this is our Saint Simon. meron siyang lagari. Kasi he is martyred na ginamit yung saw. So parang the very reason kung bakit siya may red is sign of martyrdom. This is the crowning of thorns. Yung nilagyan siya yung pinaupo siya, tapos nilagyan siya ng crown of thorns. We used to call him Señor de la Paciencia. Señor de la Paciencia. In the Filipino term is Poong Jesus na mapagtiis dahil sa mga tiniis niyang sakit. This is from Paete, Laguna. Siya yung Nuestra Señora de Alegría. Siya yung ginagamit during Easter, yung sumasalubong kay Christ, yung sa risen Christ. This is Santo Niño Jesus de Pasión. Siya yung interpretation ng child Christ na nakita niya na yung passion niya. So meron siyang cross and yung sign ng passion, meron siyang cross and meron siyang crown of thorns. This is from the 1800s, late 1800s, from School of Paete, from Laguna. Again, the purpose of these santos are to teach. It just so happens siguro na I appreciate antiques and yun yung meron ako. Pero again, at the end of the day, the purpose of this is to move people into prayer and to teach them.
I think the personal satisfaction is actually more of a personal devotion. I got so in love with the art. Siyempre sa simula, di ba? Bata ka you get to, nakikita mo the art in it. But as time goes by, nagkakaroon ka ng personal devotion na it's a way of giving back blessings. Responsibilidad ng isang nag-aalaga ng santo is number one, ipakita yung tamang iconography. Pangalawa, spread yung devotion. At ipakita ko ano yung nire-represent niya. And I think the satisfaction is, I believe that I'm blessed by taking care of them. I believe na masarap yung pakiramdam na nasi-spread mo yung devotion.
In the processions that mark Semana Santa, we see how all the applied arts attendant to the caring of santos come together to create a vivid tableau. In the libing and the salubong, the images are no longer just beautifully crafted objects embellished in worldly finery, in jewels and gold thread. They are the embodiments of divine figures in whom we have placed our hopes and prayers.
In many of our traditions, especially during Holy Week or Quaresma, we combine chanting with poetry, with dance and visual arts and so on. Well, the Passion, for example, this is really a very long kind of poem about the life of Christ, about the sufferings of Christ, that is chanted. When you go to another part of the country, in Marinduque, you find the Moriones tradition, which is really a people's art, because those who like to wear the Morion to participate in this tradition will construct his own or her own mask. This mask is very elaborate, and usually there are a bouquet of flowers at the top of the head dress, and the attire is patterned after that with the Roman centurion and all other designs. You'll find really an explosion of creativity, because all kinds of attire are designed, especially in Mogpog, no? Which is the origin of the Moriones tradition. Even children, no? Participating. And women, Moriones, have already been part of the tradition for a long time. To sum up, you find the culinary arts, music, visual arts, dance, and many other types of art during our Holy Week celebrations.
No matter what you believe in or whom you pray to, you cannot deny that the folk traditions of Quaresma reflect a form of spirituality that celebrates art and expression. In a chantore tableau, in a mask, or an embroidered vestment, so much of the folk artist's ability is expressed and revealed. Sometimes it reaches the heights of refinement. At other times, it resounds with a gutsy power of visceral expression. And no matter how you see these traditions, there is no denying that they live on, that with every passing Quaresma, there is an added dynamism. None of these traditions remain static. They grow. With each season of grace and redemption, what do we really see? The divine manifested most gracefully in Dayao, our knowledge, our pride.